Well, I'm out here this morning. I'm doing my devotions outside because it's going to get really hot today. I had to come out here and do a little bit of water, and I've got to water this garden before it gets too hot. It's already feeling really muggy. It's supposed to be like in the 90s, and then the temperatures is supposed to feel like 104 degrees today. So that's really hot. I'm out here doing my devotions, and I'm smelling the perfume of this elderberry flower right here beside of my table. I've got a cold drink this morning because it's hot. Drinking the black raspberry sparkling ice this morning. Normally I would have a cup of hot tea, but it is just too hot to drink a hot drink this morning, and that's unusual for me because I can usually drink a hot drink anytime, but it is really hot. Muggy. It's muggy out here. I've got a few things done already. I pulled a few weeds and got a few things done, but not as much as I need to. It's like I'm a snail in trying to get things done this year, and that's okay. Some years are like this. I still think it's going to be a great year, even though I'm a little sluggish and slow to get started. I wanted to check on the hanging basket that we potted yesterday. Make sure that I gave it plenty of water so that it doesn't dry out. It's looking good. With the water crystals we put in there from Miracle Grow yesterday, I don't think that it's going to dry out as quickly as it sure would have if we hadn't have added those crystals. So it's going to look good. These are the weeds I got out this morning with my 10 minutes of weed pulling. Just got some grass off of the side here. I'll need to get some zip ties and make sure I get this passion flower growing up this trellis that I have for it here in the middle of the garden. I need it to grow this way, so I need to get out here and work on that. It wants to hang on to anything it can reach. I kind of have to guide it up if I want it to grow on this bed. I'll fill up the bird bath so the birds will have some good water this morning. Get this to the little compost bin we've got over here. It's still cool in the shade. I like to come out and look at the garden in the morning. Just spend time out here when I can. It's not always real quiet. My neighborhood gets cranked up sometimes. Now this lavender, I'm going to have to repot into, it's sitting in this bigger pot, but it's not actually planted in there. It's in its same pot. But I am going to repot that soon. I already see there's pollinators on it. That little rose that we put in, it's blooming. So everything is looking really, really good. I didn't get these in the ground in time. They're looking really dry, overgrown. These plants here are going into the hanging baskets that I've got to go. I want to go ahead and cut these blooms off of this coleus. This coleus is grown for its beautiful, beautiful leaves. The blooms are not much to speak of. They're not big, brilliant blooms of any kind. They're mainly grown for their leaves. So I'm cutting off these blooms while they're in the pot, and I'll be giving them plenty of water while we decide where we're going to put these. Now, coleus comes in many beautiful bright colors. These are just the ones I chose for my garden, but there are so many beautiful colors. They didn't have any of the green that I like, the bright green that's kind of like this here. They didn't have that this year. I got there kind of late, much the color of this sweet potato vine. When I use this color in my garden, it's like turning on a little light. I think here is one, but it's so small that I don't know if I'm going to get it to work or not. Let's see, what is the name of this? Main Street River Walk. The coleus that's they are annuals, and you plant them every year, and they can be so beautiful. Jen from Pretty Little Garden had some of the most beautiful coleus I've ever seen in her garden last year. Very, very beautiful. So this is what I've got this year to add to the garden. I still haven't got this rhododendron planted, so I've got to make sure I keep it watered until I get it planted. These are the new plants that I got. These are tomato plants. Because I'm getting my seeds started so late, I went ahead and bought some tomato plants. These are big boys. These are Cherokee Purple, which I got several Cherokee Purple. These are Mountain Gold. I tried these last year. I really liked them. These are Mountain Pride, and I haven't tried the Mountain Pride. So I thought I'd try that this year. Going to trim off this little tomato. It's not going to do any good. And I'll get in here and trim off some of these not so good looking leaves. And of course, when I plant these tomatoes, which has got to be soon because the weather's just going to be hot, but when I plant these, I'll plant them up to their necks, which means I will plant them all the way up to the top of this stem, and just this will be sticking out of the ground. But I got to get with that soon because these are going to dry up over here in these little pots, and I can't waste the tomatoes. So plans to plant these as soon as possible. Oh, here's some of those little bright coleus. I guess I picked these up before they got gone. You can start coleus from seeds, and I do have coleus seed. I gotta get these little tomatoes here planted if I'm gonna get anything out of them. So I'll bring the hose over here and get all of this watered before it gets hot. Now, even sun-loving plants can get too much sun when it gets up into the triple digits, when the heat is so heavy. Even the plants that love the sun can really be affected adversely by the extreme heat. We have it here in southern Appalachia, or mid-Appalachia. I'm actually in mid-Appalachia, but it is still hot where we're at. It gets really hot. And today the heat index is going to be 104, and the actual temperature is going to be in the 90s. Now, it was 91 yesterday, so I don't know if it's going to be 91 today or even higher. It's all part of gardening. For the most part, we can't control the weather as a gardener. Well, my hose is on. Look at that hose. It's trying to crash down on that coleus. Gotta watch where this thing goes. I do not want to crush that beautiful coleus. Now, coleus can take some sun, but they like shade. So semi-shade is a good area for coleus. Some people can put them outright in the sun. If you do that here, it'll just burn them up. Now, there's plenty of things that can affect your garden. You never know from year to year. It's always been that way. Some years you may have a great crop, and some years you may lose your whole crop. So that's nothing new. That's nothing new to gardeners or to people that grow. Even farmers, farmers know this. Not every year is going to be the same. It is extremely hot. This sweet potato is hiding up under that coleus, so I want to make sure it gets plenty of water. The garbage pickup is today. I've already got mine out. They've already picked it up. And I've already brought my empty container back up to where it goes here at the house. Now, I've got a few plants that I've had for years. Let me get over here and water these. They've got some shade from this from these trees that are right here. There are some shades from these white pines and some of the bushes. Get that passion fruit flower that I planted, the red passion fruit that was from a different country. I found out that you couldn't eat the leaves. You could not make tea out of the leaves. You could only enjoy the blooms. So I decided that was not for me, so I'm taking that out of my garden this year. Anywhere I see that growing back, I'm pulling it up because I don't want it to grow. I want to use the Passiflora incarnata passion flower, the one that bears the fruit, the blooms, and you can make tea from the leaves. That's the one I want to use in my garden. That's the one I want to have, not only for its beauty, but also for the fact that I can use that whole plant, and I can use those plants for tea. These are the hydrangeas we got on sale last year. They're looking good. They do get a little thirsty. Here's more of that passion fruit. That passion fruit that I don't want. More of that vine. And we'll pull that one out. So this is morning time out here in my garden. Devotions, time spent seeing what's blooming. Watering what looks dry. Trimming things back. This is why it's important, I guess, where we're at in zone 7B in mid-Appalachia. It is important that we get everything planted early on, because this heat is coming and it makes it hard, especially when you put out new plants. The new plants struggle. Now this looks like it got a little dry. You can see some of the new growth is curled right here. And so I gotta make sure that everything is the way it should be for this plant. That it has plenty of water. I'm gonna check and make sure there's no insects. Get it ready for this hot day that's coming. Good morning. We have a walker getting her morning walk. We have a lot of walkers in this community. A lot of people that walk their dogs. The catnip is looking a little wimpy. It may or may not recover. I might have to just plant some new catnip. Now the hot weather can bring on certain diseases if you keep things too wet. If you keep things too wet and the weather gets really hot, that brings on a whole new set of diseases. So you have to be really careful. Not to keep things too soaking wet. That they get just enough water. That's garbage pickup. You can hear him coming, can't you? You know that he's here. So you don't want to keep things too wet. I don't think I could keep things too wet. In the heat. When you have a heat wave like likes coming up. You can't keep things too wet because everything just dries out so quickly. Let's see if you can see. My Queen Anne's lace is coming to an end. If I'm going to get any of these, I'm going to have to go ahead and snip them because most of them have gone to seed. The pleurisy root has moved over, so it's right here, or the butterfly weed, and some of it is even in the tree. Now those grow on tubers. I may have to dig those up and pull them out further away from the base of the tree. We'll have to see how all of that's going to go. We don't want to lose that pleurisy root because that's one of Donald's favorite flowers. He likes that and the honeysuckle. It's the only two things he requested that I plant in the garden. The ditch lilies are coming to their end. These little wild day lilies. There's various names for them, but they're on their last bloom. You can see this little stalk right here, all bloomed out. I'll cut those back soon, maybe this afternoon. Just the spent ones. I'll leave the ones that are blooming to enjoy. That bird bath is filled up, ready for the birds. I know that this little sprinkling of water is not going all the way down to the roots. Of these tea trees, so I'll water them again this evening. These are the tomatoes that I planted. The Cherokee Purple. I've got other types of the tomatoes too that we really like. Gotta make sure I keep those watered. I may even put a plastic dome over those to make sure they retain enough water to grow. Now, I've shared with you before how I've planted my seeds. One year I planted my seeds, and blackbirds came and ate every seed and every seedling that I had coming up. So I didn't have any tomato plants that year, or any plants at all. They ate every one I put out there. So there's things that happen that affect your garden every year. Now, I bought this potting soil for many things that I'll be repotting this year. It protects against over and under watering, and it's just already has some food in there. So I got 2 bags of that because it was on sale. And then I've got this potting soil here, Miracle Grow, and starting my seeds, I've been using Jiffy natural and organic seed starting mix. And I have another Jiffy over here. We also buy mulch. I didn't buy it this year. We got it free from our city. So we occasionally buy mulch when we need that. But the thing of it is, I've been hearing about some people's gardens being having a disease, and they have not sure if it's been the bag dirt that they use or maybe some of the dirt they got from somewhere else. But I want you to be very careful when you start accusing these big companies who have bagged dirt, who check their dirt often for diseases and things. Be real careful about accusing them without evidence, because especially if you're a big channel, if they prove that your channel caused adverse sales, and that you basically are bad-mouthing their soil and you don't have evidence, there's a word for a solution that they use, and that's called lawsuit. So be very careful before you accuse commercial bagged soils of killing your plants if you don't know that for a fact. That disease can come from many different directions that affect your plants, and if you don't have proof, I wouldn't accuse a big company of being the reason my garden failed. Now, if you know where you get your soil, but you never know. When you buy the loads and the scoops and you buy the dirt, you never know what's in that dirt. You don't know where that dirt comes from. I know there's a place up here, the city brings all of their debris, Forsyth County, up on the highway up here. They bring all of their debris and it breaks down and turns into mulch. You can go and get that mulch free and use it on certain days when they have a huge amount of it. They'll let the public know, and you can go and get that mulch free. Me and Donald went and got that mulch one time, and we put it over here in the corners, and we had so much poison oak that came up out of that mulch. We knew exactly where that poison oak came from, because we kept up, and that's one good reason to have a farmer's journal. Just get your little notebook and keep up with mulch, dirt, compost, anything you purchase. Write down where you got that compost, and you'll have to do that work yourself. You'll have to keep up with it yourself. But we knew that poison oak came from that specific mulch because that's where we put it. And thank God we didn't put it everywhere, because we would have had poison oak everywhere. So we're glad that basically the responsibility when you buy dirt from a scoop, or you get dirt, or even the free dirt that the city provided, it's my responsibility to check that out and see if that's something that I can use. I don't know everything that's been on it. I know they didn't put anything on it. It was just naturally composted. In fact, I know the area where it's composted, but it's from the leaf pickup and from the trimmings and everything. They shred the limbs that they pick up, and they compost the leaves. Now, we carry all of our trimmings and excess things to the street, and we have a service that picks it up. Part of our town service, they'll pick up those leaves and they'll pick up all that stuff for us. Of course, we pay for that through our taxes, but we're thankful for that service, because there's sometimes when storms comes, we've got a lot of trees on a little bit of land, and there'll be broken limbs everywhere, and we'll take them to the road and they'll pick them up the next week. They then in turn take those limbs and they have leaf pickup in the fall, and they take all that and it goes to that fenced in area in town, and they just chip up the wood, and the leaves naturally decompose. The soil, or mulch, they called it mulch, you can go and sign up for the free mulch, but it was actually wonderful compost. I think I got the bottom of the heap, and that was fine for me because that meant everything was composted wonderfully. It was just as if I had bought compost, and you know, compost is more expensive than mulch or soil. So we were very happy with that. Now I'll probably have dirt all over my face. I am sweating already out here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's humid out here and hot. It's getting hot. But I don't really know what is on that. But the town uses it, and so I'm pretty sure it's not too much on it because they use it in their gardens. And I don't know if I have told you before, but our town, it's known for being the garden spot. It says the garden spot of the world, and they have a program where they give yard of the month certificates, and they put a little sign out on your yard if you get yard of the month. And so they're very dedicated to the gardening and to the the keeping it up. And I'm pretty sure they would never put anything on their mulch or their compost. The dirt that they give you free, I'm pretty sure they would never put anything on it that would hurt anything because they use it in the town. We have beautiful hanging baskets. We have beautiful gardens at the post office. In different places they have beautiful plants. So I felt good about taking that free mulch from our town. Now, I've never had a problem with any bagged soil I've ever used. That is regulated. They test those batches of soil before they load them. I don't know where they get the soil they sell. I'm pretty sure they dig it somewhere out of the ground in places and bag it up. So I'm just sharing my opinion with you. Do a lot of research if you've got soil that's damaging your plants. Do a lot of research, see where that comes from, what causes that, and come to a conclusion that you can use. But be very careful about blaming bagged soil that is tested, soil that is regulated, and soil that is somebody's company. And if you adversely affect their sales on a big channel by saying that soil is what caused your plants to be no good, be real careful about that. That's a liability. It actually is what that is. So you want to be careful about accusing bagged soil if you hadn't sent that to be tested. And if you've mixed it with other soil, then you don't know what. Say you started it in the bag soil and then you put it in the ground and you put your other soil you had in a heap on it. You don't know which soil it was. So be really careful about accusing a big company of being the cause of your plant. Now you can say, I used this specifically and this happened. That would be telling the truth. There's nothing wrong with that, sharing that and letting people know. But when you don't know the cause and you've got a mess going on, be real careful about accusing. That's just my tip to you today if you're in that situation. You know, when you garden, when you farm, there's always things that's going to adversely affect your plants at times. You'll have great years. You'll have bounty crops. That's what we call them, bounty crops. When there's so much coming from your garden that you don't know what to do with it. You're giving it away and you're canning it and putting it up for next year, and you've got a bounty crop. We were always taught when you have a bounty crop, I might have shared this story with you before, but my mother-in-law, she loved brandied pears. Brandied pears is a recipe that she absolutely loved, and we would pick pears, peel pears, slice them up, make brandied pears, pear sauce, just canned pears for eating fruit. So she loved pears. Well, one year there was a bounty crop of pears. I mean, we were getting truckloads of pears. We were harvesting pears from friends, pear trees. They had more than enough. We were harvesting them from several places. So we just had, I mean, literally 5-gallon buckets in truck beds. Our truck beds were full of 5-gallon buckets, and I was processing those pears, and then she processed maybe 12 quarts. Of course, she lives alone, so she felt like that was plenty. And she said, "Why are you processing so many pears? Why are you putting up all these pears?" And I told her, I said, "Because this is the bounty year. Anytime you have a great year for any fruit or any crop, try to put that back the best way you can. Try to preserve some of that for the future." And she said, "Well, you can always just pick them next year." And I said, "Well, there might not be any pears next year. That's how it works. You can't take for granted that you're always going to have something, because it's not guaranteed." And of course, the next year, there were no pears. All of the pear trees, it came a heavy frost after they had bloomed out, and they were all bit back. So the pears were being brought in from other places, and they were expensive. They were very expensive. And she told me, she said, "Oh my gosh, there's no pears this year, and I'm down to 1 jar." And I was like, "Well, luckily I have plenty of jars that I can give you. Just let me know what you need, and I've got plenty of pears." So I had enough pears for the year that I harvested them and preserved them. And then the next year we had plenty of pears. And that's just the way we were trained to do it. When it was a bounty crop, you preserved all you could. And most of the time you couldn't get it all. The bears, the birds, and all that had plenty to eat. And then if next year you didn't have that crop, you would still have some to enjoy until the next year. So that's how we were taught to do it, and that's what we try to do now, be it with fruits, garden goods, whatever we might have. That's how me and Donald do it. When it's a bounty crop, we put it up and preserve it for the next year. So in gardening, you never know what kind of dilemma you're going to have. Is it going to be a disease that wipes everything out? Is it going to be a disease? Like I'm fighting black spot on my roses right now. I've been fighting that for about 3 years now. And we're on the winning edge. How I combat that is a whole video. I need to do that video soon. And it was the best year, one of the best years. We've had a lot of good years for our roses because we're combating that disease. Some things you can't combat. You just have to cut down whatever it is and start fresh. And that's very sad when it takes 7 years for an apple tree to bear fruit. If you have to cut down your whole orchard, you're going to be hurting for 7 years or more. And that's really, really sad. But that's part of it. That's part of farming and gardening. Raising food. You realize that it's not a perfect world, and things are going to happen, and sometimes it's going to cost you your season. It's going to cost you your growing season. It's going to cost you your fruit. And that's a sad thing, but it's a reality in life. It's part of living here on earth. It's just part of it. And the more you garden, your years of gardening, you'll discover that. Now I sometimes find amazing things out. Like I might be looking forward to, say, the peonies this year, or the peonies have already bloomed here, but I may be looking forward to the peonies, and then something happened and I don't have any peonies because they bloomed too soon, and it came a late frost, unexpected late frost, and bites them back, and then I don't have any. That just makes me look more forward to next year's peonies. You can't let it devastate you. You have to do what needs to be done and move on and enjoy what you do have. That's the art of enjoying your garden no matter what. It can be devastating, but there's so many other places right now there are so many other places. There's farms nearby. Locate your farms nearby. Know where to go get your stuff if yours fails. Go to your fruit stands. Buy local food, honestly. Search your area and go and buy local. Now that might mean doing without something that you really like. I like avocado oil. I cannot grow avocados enough to supply oil for myself and my family here. I like coconut oil. I can't grow coconuts here to make enough oil to cook in. So you just change up to meet your need. Like if avocado oil goes sky high, I'll have to make a different alternative. I heard somebody saying that olive oil was going sky high. I don't worry about that because I don't eat olive oil very much. Olive oil I use a lot in my apothecary carrier oil. I use it as a carrier oil for my essential oils, but I very rarely cook with olive oil because it's not what I use. I use lard, coconut oil, and avocado oil in that order. Yeah, I like butter too, real butter. So if any of that comes to a shortage, then we'll have to get resourceful. And a lot of the things that we throw away, we'll have to learn how to use, such as the grease from pork, the beef tallow, and the things like that we usually discard because there's something better. We'll have to learn to use those things and make exceptions. I've told this story before where when cereal became $4 and $5 a box, well, we just quit buying it. I raised 3 children. We never ate a lot of cereal anyway. In fact, we were not raised on cereal. When I was growing up, there's 5 of us. There's 5 of us. No, we did not eat cereal. There were no cornflakes. There were no Lucky Charms. There was none of that at our house. If we ate breakfast, it was biscuits and jelly. It was eggs and grits and sausage and bacon. And that's what we had. That's what we ate. I remember my aunt telling me when I first got married, she was saying, save your cereal boxes. I mean, the little bag that your cereal comes in, you reuse it for a lot of things. And I said, well, Kathleen, we don't eat cereal. And she was like, you don't eat cereal? No, we don't eat cereal. So you can adjust your food to what's available. You can adjust what you eat to what's available. In fact, that's what our ancestors have always done, you know. So that's just a thought, just some thoughts on food and the food crisis that seems to be going on right now. Food is extremely expensive, unbelievably expensive. I mean, it is one of our biggest bills right now, is a grocery bill. So, you know, we're not food wasters. We don't waste a lot of food. We are foragers. We are, we preserve food for ourselves. So you just have to adjust when it gets like this and make it work for your family. Now, I've heard people say, I just can't eat that. I just can't eat that. I can't eat hamburger from a tube. I just can't eat that. When things start getting tight, you'll find yourself being able to eat more than you ever thought you could. I drink hot tea, and I drink hot tea several times a day, and sometimes I hear people say, I just can't drink hot tea. I just can't do that. Well, you may find yourself learning that you can do that, you know. If hot tea helps a certain situation, or if it has benefits that you need, or maybe if that's the only thing you have available, you'll learn that you can do much more than you ever thought you could do. That's what learning to be flexible is all about. Learning to be flexible in your food, to try different things. I've told this story before. Me and my brother-in-law, we got on a spree for a couple of years where we wanted to try all kinds of foods we had never tried before. I didn't get to try the rattlesnake. He killed about a 6-foot rattlesnake, made a hat band and a keychain out of it, and ate the meat. But for some reason, I didn't get to taste the rattlesnake. But we tasted everything else that we could we taste different foods, you know, and you know it's good. It's a good skill to have. It's still a good skill to have. Well, thank you for joining me on my little morning work this morning. I'm out here enjoying the garden. It's going to heat up on me. I'm going to have to go in. But I'm glad I got to share a few thoughts with you, and I'm glad y'all came around. And like always, until next time.